despite the fact that we all want the Chicago Bulls to have made a trade, made a move, do something to show that you seriously want us to be competitive and better, was there really good logic behind just sticking with continuity? Let's talk about that and more right after this. I want you all to know that I have struggled with this particular channel simply because the Bulls have been that much of a thorn in my side. They have not given me anything to want to root for. Plus, your boy actually had to take care of some personal things. But that aside, it's one of those things where even on our live show with the Daily Show on the Windy City Breeze, if I talk about the Chicago Bulls, if Pat talks about the Chicago Bulls, it does absolutely nothing traction wise because no one cares. However, with the latest trade deadline that has come and gone, AK has made again no moves, which is I think he's going on a streak right now. He actually might break a record for that, right? Um, there were some interesting things that were said that we now have to consider. And when I really look at some of the comments that he made, one of them were they had no trades that would actually put them over the hump, or I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And he also spoke about how there was nothing that actually made them better. And when I look at some of the trade packages that were kind of hinted towards, alluded to, or even rumored, nothing made us dramatically better than what we are. It was almost like if we were trying to trade something just to be trading something. And it's like, that's not necessary. And when I really look at what we're building, when I really look at how things are developing, the Bulls are on. We're 6-4 in our last team. We've won two in a row now after beating the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, not a John Morant, Memphis Grizzlies stuff like that. I get it, but you can only play the people in front of you. And we were down for a good portion. We came back and we won. Andre Drummond's playing some of the best ball we've seen in a while from him. Kobe White again is taking another leap and he's getting other people involved. He is transcending what I thought he would be by far. Had to walk that take back clean. It looks like AK may have been cooking when he sat there and said, we're not that far out. And when you really look at it at 25 and 27, we are again below 500. Don't get me wrong. But the only team above us right now that is the Magic and the Heat and the Pacers, all who are within striking distance, so much so that realistically for us, if we were to win our next three and those teams were to lose their next three, we can go from being in the ninth seed to potentially the sixth seed. Looking at it right now, if you're looking at me on the screen, I'm looking at the Eastern Conference standings, and it's one of those things where it's just like he may have been onto something. Now that's not what you want to hear as a fan. It's not sexy. It doesn't get the people going, but it's real. It's so real to the point where it's like we might actually be a legitimate playoff team. Not a play in, a playoff team. For me, playoff, I mean, for anyone, realistically, you don't want to be 9, 10, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is weird. It's even weird saying that because that stupid play-in tournament. I don't really like it, but I like it at the same time. But now, just even taking that a little step further, the Pacers, the 76ers, they're not that far above us. And we still do have 30 games. The Sixers have taken on injuries. The Pacers, well, Halliburton's back and they've made some trade. We'll see how that works out, right? They're still gelling, but you can expect that's a learning curve there. You can look at what the Bucks have gone through now that they got rid of their coach and stuff like that. They've lost their last three. You can expect a little learning curve there. Well, guess what? In the midst of all of that, the Bulls could benefit. The Bulls not only could benefit, but if we capitalize on it like we should, those teams could, as they go through their transition, and I think any team that's made a mid-season trade or made any big major shift in their organization, you can expect a good 5 to 6 games of like up and down, right? They may drop three, pick up three. They may drop four, then pick up two, and then get back into groove. But when it's this close, when it's this tight, as AK was alluding to, we could go from being the ninth seed to a legitimate playoff team with Kobe White actually being again a more and dominant player. I was just saying he's dominating right now. With DeMar being able to close, Billy Donovan putting people in the right position, things could be gelling at the right time for the Chicago Bulls. Now, no one is looking at this as if we're going to be a championship team today. We're not a championship team today, but we are. I hate the fact that I'm going to say this. We are competitive. We are 15 and 12 at home. Again, that's taking an upswing. We were 14 and 17 in our conference. But even still, that's starting to shift. We're starting to see that tilt the other way. We are all the signals do point to the fact that we are legitimately on the rise. And as I sit back and I really just remove my emotions from it, AK could be right. We could be one or two pieces away, and those one or two pieces could be literally on our bench injured. The Bulls do need another player to help them be competitive with the Knicks, Bucks, Cavs, and Celtics of the Eastern. And that type of player could be Zach LaVine if he buys into it. That type of player could be Lonzo Ball being able to be now to expect him he has not played legitimate basketball on this level in 2 years is a tall task. So I'm not saying that he can be that impact player, but I'm also not going to rule out that I'm also not going to say he can't. And with all that being said, AK may actually be onto something. And it sucks because now I have to sit here and go through the mediocrity while also admitting that there is not even, and this is not even a homer's take. This is not I'm talking about the Bulls. I gotta find something for the channel. No, I'm literally sitting here like, dog, it could really happen. There's no one who's won 40 games yet. I mean, the Celtics are the closest, 39. But we have 25 wins. The second seed has 34. I know that that's an 8-game gap. Don't get me wrong. It is a 9-game gap. However, that's still relatively close, a lot closer than you would think from the 9th seed. Back in the day, if you were the 9th seed compared to the second seed, it'd be a 10-game gap and things of that nature, and maybe even 15 to 20 game gap, especially because you were considered a scrub. But the gap between 9 and 2, and even better, the gap between 9 and 5, not even 6, the gap between 9 and 5 is like 5 games. And so that makes me sit here and wonder, what if we were legitimately only one player away? What if we were legitimately only one player away? What if Zach LaVine coming back and not getting traded was the legitimate tipping point for us to be a 5th seed in the East? I want you all to think about that, but I also want to hear your thoughts and comments on this too, because again, we have to sit here and give him all the smoke. When he doesn't make moves, we give him all the smoke when it doesn't make sense. But again, this is also why we hear so many times that I'm glad that our GMs aren't like us fans who are emotionally driven, because he could be right. And we could be looking at a very, very interesting turn to this turn of events that put us not only in a competitive space, but one that could potentially avoid the play-in altogether. And looking at some of these matchups and some of the people we play, even at 6, like if the playoffs started today and we were able to scratch and claw to 6, we'd get smacked by the Bucks. I'm not going to sit there and say we wouldn't, but I think we could go toe to toe with the Knicks if we were scratch and crawl to 5. If the Knicks stayed at 4, like matchups play a part now. It's like there's only 2 teams on this list that I'm like for certain we're gonna get smacked by, and there's a way to avoid them too. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear whether or not you think AK is actually on to something. I want to hear if you think it's just lip service, that it doesn't even matter. All of that, I want you to put in the comments. I'll be in there with you all. Till next time. Peace.